everybody to my channel. I'm glad you're here. Today we're doing my unboxing of my card kit, my July 2021 card kit. It's all about sand castle, sand, summer, beach, and a lot of fun included in this kit. I'm showing you here the stamp set, coordinating dies of course, and this is the beautiful pattern paper that we have for this month. And we are going to do some projects this month. I have 5 projects to share with you, and I really enjoy making them. So here I'm showing you the cardstock. It's really pretty and good quality cardstock that comes in the kit. Every month you have a total of 12 sheets of cardstock. Gorgeous color, and everything go together with everything included in the kit. So I'm showing you here the projects that I made for this time, and we're gonna start with all the process. This is gonna be a little bit of a long video because I'm sharing with you 5 projects. So the first thing I do is I take my shadow dies from my sandcastle and my more sandcastle to stamp dies, and I cut out my the figures from my pattern paper. So I'm prepping them all to have them all ready, and I'm gonna use a variety of inks and some stencils. So here I'm showing you some stencils that you can use in case you don't have the one that I'm going to use. And these are the inks that I'm going to use for the first project. So for the first project, I'm going to do my planner, my monthly planner. So I'm starting with, I cut a card base, the rounded corner slimline, and I cut it in half to have to add an extra flippy to my planner. So I'm starting with seaglass, which later I will change that for ocean. So now I'm using razzleberry, and I'm going to use grape between the seaglass and the razzleberry. I'm going to try to create a sunset, so I'm using the grape to blend into the seaglass and into the razzleberry. Now I'm using tangerine, and tangerine goes after the razzleberry. Don't get too worried if your blending it looks splotchy in places. We're gonna add some fun on top of it, so you're not even going to notice. Do the best you can, and it's gonna be okay if it's splotchy. Now I'm going back and forth to get as smooth as I can, but like I said, don't worry too much. Now I'm going to do the banana. Banana is one of my favorite yellows. I love it. So I'm coloring or blending the rest of my white piece of powdered sugar cardstock. And now I'm going to realize in a bit that I need a deeper blue. Going back and forth. Don't give up. You'll get the result you want if you keep working it. Yep, so I'm changing now to ocean. Ocean and peacock are my 2 favorite colors of the whole palette. I love those 2 colors. So ocean used to be my favorite color, but when peacock came around, there's a battle. I love both. Like I said, I love both. So let's put a little bit in there to deepen the color. Okay, now at the bottom, I'm going to first clean my piece of plastic that I used to blend so I don't get all my colors contaminated. I'm going to use a little bit of twig to symbolize the sand at the bottom. Just a little bit, just to ground my scene. And that's pretty much it. That's all the blending that we're going to do in this project. Now, I want to add some stencil on top. So I'm trying to decide. I love this grid stencil. This came with the tulip class, the windmill class. But I decided that I was going to go with the starfish. Yeah, starfish stencil. I think this one came with the seagull classes. So I'm going to use the glitter 3D color. What's the name of it? 3D pens. 3D ink. Whatever, you know what I show you there what I'm using. And I'm trying to spread a thin layer of it with my card. Stencil is not big enough to cover the whole thing, so I just place it again. I'm being a little generous with trying not to waste any. Now after that you have to go and rinse everything that you use with that, because if you let it dry you're going to ruin your stencil and you don't want that. After that I let it dry completely. It needs a while to get dry, and for the rest of the process you need to have it very, very dry. Otherwise you're going to have a mess everywhere. Okay, I'm adding my two. This is not the first time that I show you how I do this, but it's just a reminder. There you go. I added my extra page on my planner. So I have my die cuts. I'm adding the sandcastle. It's so pretty, and this one came so fast because everything was already done. I used the skinny minis, shadows, and the actual letters to cut the word July, because this is my July card. And like I said, I use the Slimline round corner die, so this could be a card that you can make later. You can just change the word that I put for, I don't know, a name to make it personalized, or you can stamp your sentiment and just put it there like in a cloud. Adding all my details. Oh, I use my clear blocks to add weight on top of my pieces so the wet glue can dry well. That helps a lot. So now I'm going to put my little tag with my month. And look, I'm using the new tweezers. They are fantastic to remove the sticky back, or not the sticky back, but the backers of your stickers or your double-sided tape. There you go. There you have. That's our first project today. So pretty. I love the shimmery of the stars. It's so pretty. Okay. Other thing that I'm going to do now, I love this page. I love this page of the pattern paper pad, but I want to add some waves, and I want to give like an ombre effect. So I'm going to start using the sun and wave stencil, and the first color that I apply is seaglass. So I'm moving down my stencil. Oh, with the post-it note, I cover the part where the suns are because I don't want suns on my piece of cardstock. I just want the waves. So with that, I cover them. So we're not going to transfer the little suns. Okay, so I did like 3 rows of sea glass. Now I'm going to use ocean. We're just blending, and it's very subtle, but there's a difference between colors. I love them. Take your time. This video is way too fast, and I apologize. You can see I'm in my jammies. I'm so sorry. And I'm sure I'm the only crafter that crafts on her jammies, right? Right. Okay. Now we're gonna change to the peacock ink. Oh, look at that blue. It's so gorgeous. Now for the peacock, I start applying from the from the stencil to the page, not from the page to the stencil, because otherwise it was going to be too harsh of a line. So if you apply it first from the plastic, the stencil to the paper, it's gonna be a little bit better blend, I guess. There you go. And I did the same thing using stencils in other pages, just to give a little bit more of color. Okay, so we're gonna build our box. Now this is the way I like to build a box. It's a little different, but I feel that it's easier. So I have my two pieces that you need to cut. I always use wet glue because it needs to be very, very, I need to be sure that it's not going to come apart. Okay, I'm enforcing all the folds with my bone folder. That's another important part. And we're going to create a window in the bottom part of our box. So we're going to use our layering die to cut it. So first we're going to glue the bottom part, the large part of our box. We're going to adhere it. So it's going to be thicker because it's doubled. But we're going to cut the window. So I'm attaching. Please use washi or some kind of low tack tape. That way it don't shift when you're passing it through your machine, because you don't want it to thick. So see, I make a little window. So of course our little piece to attach it, it's a little bigger, so don't worry, you just trace it and cut it and everything will be fine. See? Oh, it's so pretty. So we're gonna have, I'm going to try to create an under the sea scene and on top of the sea, like in the sand. That's the purpose. That was my process, my thinking process. So we're going to add, I cut all my parts. So I attach, notice that I didn't fold down the back of the card because I don't want to be a flappy. I just want to be straight up. So now for the two little smaller sizes or smaller floppies, I'm going to glue them. I cut them upside down. Don't worry, I didn't make a mistake, because they are going to go down when the card is finished. So that's why I did it. Okay, so now I need to make some scallops. I cut my inside parts. I cut one in blue to simulate the water and two in ginger snap. I'm just going to use, at the end, I'm just going to use one, but I'm showing you what I did. So now I only had like a little, I used the little part that came with my fishbowl die set, the scallopy part, but I think you guys got a freebie on your month. If you're a monthly subscribed to the Stamp and Die Heart, you got a scallop freebie, so you can use that too. Or if you have your fishbowl, you can use that wavy too. Now, because it's not long enough, I had to go 2 times. So I just place it again, run it through my machine, and then I have a complete scallopy blue part for my, see. Now, don't discard that little scallopy because it's so beautiful. We're going to use it later. Don't discard it. Same thing with these two little excess that you can say from the sand piles that we caught. I'm going to use those little things. Now, you don't need to glue the little flippy part there. You can very well just glue it on the bottom of your in the bottom of the frame, because that's what I'm gonna do next. So I did the mistake of not cutting them, but you don't have to because I already did it. Okay, make sure that it's very well adhered. See, it buckled there. That's because I left the little thingy. You can cut it. Yep, there I realized that you don't need it, so I cut it. Now I want to use the other part too, so I'm going to glue it. Yeah, I released the pressure there with my X-Acto knife. That thing is really handy, but you need to be very careful because it's so sharp. There we go. I have my bottom of the sea dunes of sand. Okay. Notice that I haven't closed up my box because it's easier this way. Let me show you how. Now I'm adding my second scallopy, making sure that it's covering the sand dunes so we don't have gaps in the front of our card. And this is my top shelf, we can say, that it's going to be my sand in the shore. Make sure you glue that very well. I was trying to put the third one, but it didn't make sense, so I'm just going to use those two. Okay, now I add glue there. Look what I do. And now I close it. I put pressure with my bone folder to make sure it's very well attached. Doing the same thing with the flippy part. And for some reason I didn't cut it well, so I'm just taking my little scissors and cutting the excess. And ta-da! We have our box card all attached with all the inside parts. Wasn't that much easier? I think so. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay, now we're going to decorate our card. So we're going to start putting the bigger part, or the bigger piece, which is the sand castle. And then we're going to add our decorations. So we're going to put a bucket full of seashells and sand dollars. I kind of I still want them to have a little white border, but from when I cut it with my dies, it was too large, so I wouldn't be able to fit all the shells that I put, so I just trim it around. And these pieces are these fishes and turtles are leftovers that I had from other projects, so I just take them and decided to use them in this card. You can pick whatever you want. You could put more sea weeds, or we have a lot of under the water type of animals and vegetation that you can add to complete this scene. I just decided to keep it simple. Now I'm going to add my extra starfish and shells for the bottom of my scene. Isn't this looking so pretty? I love it. So we make a window scene in our card box, or box card. There we go. Now I'm going to add the sentiment with the die that came in the kit, Summer Loving. And I'm going to use the part that we cut for the window. It's thicker because it's doubled, and it's going to look so gorgeous in the sentiment. So I cut that all apart and I glue all the little letters. I did not film that because it was tedious, so I took them over, but you take your time and you place all the letters there. I decided that I needed more shells and sand dollars, And that's it. That's our project. Some close-up from the card. Okay, moving on. Next project. So I'm going to use the recently released high folded. I picked my pattern paper with the sand dollars, and I did a little bit of a stenciling with, I think that's Pixie that I use. Yeah, it's Pixie. I'm going to cut the high with that sunglasses purple or grape color for the base, and I'm going to use one of the sand dollars for the eye dot. Okay, cut all my pieces. This one is fast, and I think it ended up being very gorgeous. Okay, cut all my parts. Be careful with that eye, don't lose it, the eye dot. I think it's called tittle or something like that. Now we're gonna glue the high, the word in our base. I'm using my tweezers, very handy. That way we don't have so messy fingers, even though I don't care to have messy fingers, but I don't want my project to get ruined, so there we go. Now I like to do, I'll repeat it again, to use my bone folder to spread all the wet glue so it make sure that it's cut all over. So I'm going to cut the center part, so I make a little snip with the X-Acto knife, and I'm using my scissors to cut around it. You don't have to do this, it's just I think I have problems. Now I'm cutting a little space there to put my stars, my starfish. And there you see, if I didn't cut a little bit of the white, I would be able just to put one starfish. Now, if you don't want to leave a little bit of white in your starfishes, you can use the inside part of your dies to cut them if you don't want to fussy cut. I don't mind fussy cutting. One, a little bit. not if I'm mass producing, I really don't like to fussy cut. Okay, so I'm deciding, yep, the blue sand dollar it is. Oh, that looks so pretty. Now we're going to cut our base card. I'm using, I think this is strawberry. That's the red that it's included in our card kit this time. So if you see, I left a little hang of the die, that way my folded can work properly. Cut it all. Now I'm going to attach the part that we did. I'm using my double-sided adhesive. Less messy. You can use wet glue if you want, or whatever adhesive you use to create your cards. This is just what I prefer. Take all the backers out, and making sure that it's well aligned. There we go. Now we're going to add some pop dots to the bucket to add some dimension. And then I was thinking, what else can I put on this card? But as a matter of fact, it looks just gorgeous the way it is, so we're not going to fuss with it. We are just going to leave it like that, and it's gorgeous. And there we have a close-up. Isn't it so pretty? I love it. Okay, next project. So we're gonna do a mini slimline. So I cut all my parts. I cut the base on grape. Oops, sorry. This new angle for my camera. I'm sorry. I'm trying new things. Okay, so I cut a scallop. I think it's the second largest of the scallops for this mini slimline, and we're going to attach it to the front of our card. Then I use the stitch rectangles for the mini slimline. I'm not sure if that's released already, but if it's not, it's coming soon. So I have my layers, and see, that's the extra part from our first card that we did from the box card. We're gonna use that because it's so pretty. We're not gonna let it go to waste. We're gonna use it. I cut it in a little bit because it's not quite long enough to go all the way, but don't worry, our bucket is going to cover it. Now the way I didn't show it again because I already showed you guys how I did it. To add stuff inside the bucket, I just did a little quick trim with my X-Acto knife, and I put inside the shovels and a little shell. Now this is a chipboard that came in the kit, so I'm attaching it, and I cut just the word happy. I did not stamp the entire phrase, which is happy day, happy days, I think, or happy summer days, something like that. So I only use the word happy. I fussy cut it, and that's what I use for my sentiment. Now we're adding a little boat and two little seashells that I stamp and color and cut. There we go. And we're all done. No, almost done. We're going to add a sentiment. So, picking my sentiment, and I'm going to use my favorite color to stamp on grape, which is, yep, blueberry. I love how blueberry looks on grape. Stamp our sentiment, and the card is done. Here's a close-up. Sorry for the teaser. And now moving to our last project. So I'm going to do a hanging piece, but it's also a scrapbook page. So you can add this entire thing and add it to one of your layouts, or you can just put it in your wall. So I should stamp before I glue my purple part on top of, or layer on top of the base, but I didn't. So I'm covering the yellow part with post-it notes, and I'm going to go with my blueberry blue color, and I'm stamping the big starfish that came in our kit. I love it. So we're creating our own pattern paper, or pattern cardstock actually. I'm adding them randomly, sometimes upside down, sometimes tilted to one side, tilted to another side, just random. But making sure to cover my yellow because I don't want to stamp the blue in there. If you want to stamp the blue on the yellow and you don't care, just stamp it. Now I'm going to use the little starfish that came in our kit this month, and I'm going to stamp it with grape. Remember to clean and store your stamps, that way you don't lose them. Okay, so I'm going to use grape now with the little stamp. Oh, look how cute that looks. So I'm trying to add all the little stars in the large blank spaces. Same thing, randomly place. but trying to cover all the paper or all the background. Here we go. We finished the background. Oh, I love it. Now I'm going to attach it to the hanging part, and I'm going to take it to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew a little. If you have seen my projects and my videos that I share, I love sewing in my paper. I love the look. And I don't know what I'm doing there, I'm sorry. Probably making sure that I'm on frame. Okay, now we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and there we go. All done. Oh, that looks so pretty. Now I already have my photos mat on. I pick blueberry pattern paper and tangerine pattern paper, and I cut those little tabs with the mini tabs die set, and I'm going to add the tabs to the pictures. So in those little tabs I will probably write the date or something, or just leave them like as decorations. I love to add those details in my layouts. That was a very fun day. That was last year in 2020. We had so many plans with my husband to do because we turned 40 last year, so everything got canceled. We couldn't do all the plans that we had, so he decided that he wanted to have seafood for his birthday. So we drove, well, he drove about 8 hours to go to the beach, and then we had lunch, we walked around, took some pictures, and came back home. Adding some doubles. I love double-sided tape. It's less messy. Trying to position my shells and all the accessories that I want to have decorate the pages. I'm going to add those chipboard. It looks so pretty. Some puffy stickers, and extra shells that I had when I was creating my projects for at the beginning of the month. I had a lot. I get carried away with the little things, so I color more than what I needed. So I use them because they're already there. I'm not going to throw them away. I'm going to use them. Survival juice. Which is coffee, of course. Okay, so see, I put my blocks that are heavy on top of the chipboard because I can't go with my bone folder because it would be useless. So I add pressure with the acrylic blocks. Positioning all my pieces. There we go. Oh, that shell was not, I didn't stamp it very well, so I was fixing it with my black pen. Trying to add more elements. You know, because sometimes you need to have 3 to create a perfect triangle to guide your eye where you want to be the focus. And we need balance too, so putting something up there too. There we go. Now I'm just gonna add the sentiment. Oh, the ribbon. So I'm using a piece of the Gigam ribbon that we had this month. It's in ginger snap color, and this gorgeous kind of fall leather. Oh, that is necessary to do. I always use a lighter to seal the ends of my ribbon, that way they don't fray. So I pass them and positioning them. This project is almost done. So I have that scrap of paper, and I'm going to use that to stamp my sentiment. Oh, happy day, that's what it says. I stamp it that way all the words had a sand dollar on the back. And I'm going to fussy cut every word because I want to position them differently of the way that the stamp is created. So I just stamp and cut the words separate to position them on my project. And I'm sorry you're able to see my jammies. Okay, my words are ready, so now I'm going to position them. And of course, we're going to put some pop dots in back to give some dimension. Okay, and this is our last project for today. Thank you so much for watching it, and if you learned something, please give me a like and share if you like it. I will appreciate that. And thank you for watching again, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.